Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And I'm going live right now for a different time. The best part of being single: what are you overlooking about your breakup? I wrote what you're overlooking about your breakup. Two parts here, two good things to unpack and look at, because a lot of times when you break up, all you can think about is how you're going to get back with them, how you're going to get your ex back, how you're basically desperate, obsessed, lonely, upset, angry, done wrong, did wrong. And the reality is, there's a silver lining to everything. Right on, G Money. There's a silver lining to everything. And the great movie Silver Linings Playbook calls it Excelsior, which is actually a district in San Francisco, funny enough. If you like this video, throw me a like. If you don't like it, that's just fine. Throw me a not like. At least have a fucking opinion. And if you have a comment to put down below, please throw it in, because this is interesting. I think everyone could say, what's the best part of being single? G Money, David Jeffers, Catherine that are on. Please let me know in the comments. What are you overlooking about your breakup? Is there something that you look back on where you look back at your breakup or breakups and you're like, damn, I totally overlooked the fact that, shit, this was a real opportunity, man. Right? I look back at my breakups and sometimes I'm like, damn, what were you sacrificing? Do you realize how much of your freedom to do whatever the fuck you want is negotiated? Right? Think about that. When you are in a relationship, you are in constant negotiation. There are some relationships where someone rules the roost, runs the show, and does everything and anything they want. Those relationships are different. They're far and few between. Someone usually cares less than the other person they run the relationship. But overall, for example, let's think about it this way. Even if you got weekend plans, right? You're off for the weekend. You got a 3-day weekend coming up. You go, I got a 3-day weekend. You don't go like, what am I going to do with my buddies? Where am I going to go? You're like, oh, let me contact my girl and talk about what we're going to do and where we're going to go. Now you might lead that situation, but in the same sense, you're still negotiating like what you're going to do, what time you're going to leave. Like, you don't realize how much until you become single again. You're like, you fucking negotiate the time you go to dinner. Think about that for a minute, right? It's like, oh, I'm like, let's go to dinner tonight. Okay, 6:30. No, I want to go at 7:15. No, I actually have to go to the gym. And it's a back and forth. It's like, all right, fine, we'll go at 7:15. You know what I mean? Like shit like that, you don't even realize it. Then you get out and you're like, oh my God, I just miss her. I just miss him. I didn't, you're going on and on. But like that little shit right there, it can't be underrated that like when you do get your freedom and you are broken up, regardless of the situation, it is kind of nice just to go, you know what? I could do whatever the fuck I want. I can go have dinner when I want. I could talk to who I want. I could do what I want. And someone might say, oh, my relationship wasn't like that. We didn't have those kind of problems. But the reality is freedom, right? So like I said, if you have a comment, please put it down below. If you'd like to book a live coaching session, go to writemac.com. Now, Catherine, I haven't seen you on in a long time. I hope you're well. Jamie Gray, haven't seen you ever. So welcome. Great that the UK gets to pop on. It's a different time zone and a different time that I'm usually on. So hopefully some other people could chime in. If this is a good time for a lot of people, I'll make more of an effort to come on. It's 9:18 p.m. for me in the evening. So David Jeffers says spinning plates, which means, dating multiple women, which I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And playing the field, is that what you'd call it? I mean, whatever you want to call it. G Money says freedom, nobody to answer to. I would agree. I mean, depends on the kind of person you are, but it is nice if you're able to embrace that, being able to sleep around. I think a lot of people would agree with you, but they might not say it. Different things, different timings, whatever. The funny thing what G Money said, G Money's obviously a male. There's a lot of women that wouldn't say that, but I would say that women in their early to mid 20s, a lot of time, the reason why they want to break up, not all the time, but is the curiosity of sleeping around. But they wouldn't use that term. They would say, oh, I want to see what it's like to be single. Different timings. What up? What's up, Azam? How you doing, bud? Really starting to agree with Rollo's opinion about single up until your 30s. You know what I would say to that, David? I like Rollo's book. I respect him. I recommend the book all the time, and I like it because his perspective's unique. It's harsh. It's real. It's backed by, I don't want to say the word science, but it's backed by some research. It's not just a fluff piece. And so I like that book along with No More Mr. Nice Guy, Models by Mark Nansen, as a nice mix. And then you take what you want as an individual. What I would say, though, is the idea of being single up until your 30s, just be flexible in the sense if you're 26, 27, because you're like 22 or 23 right now, David. We've done a live coaching before, so I know your age. I'm not just guessing out of the fucking wind. Be flexible. Someone writes a book, they give the number 30. Just remember, and I think you're like this, you seem to have a free mind. It's like if you meet someone at 26, 27, 28 that's outstanding and you're at a really good place in your life, you have really good judgment, don't be like, oh, the book told me this. Sometimes you can set that stage or tone and then you're like, oh, yeah, but I should be waiting until my 30s. The reality is I'll tell you this, man, in my life, I'm 39 years old. I don't think it's difficult to spin plates. I don't think it's difficult to date. I do think it takes time, and there are circumstances that you do meet, not the one, not a soulmate, but someone you're like, damn, this is just smooth. This is just easy. We're not trying here. And if that happens, embrace it. Don't fight it. Don't go, I'm going to continue to spin plates. If that happens and it's rose petals and wine glasses and it's a good time and it doesn't work out in a year, 2 years, 4 years, 3 years, 6 years, I wouldn't have any regrets. If you guys have a really good time, I look back on my relationships, they didn't necessarily end well because you broke up. But on the flip side, if you were 80-20 principle, if you were 80% of the time, like, damn, we were pretty damn good. That's a win. That's a win. There's doing what I do and talking to the people I talk about their relationship. I'm like, damn, you were in a 6-year relationship with 5 bad years? Damn. It's like, I look back, I was in a 5-year, we lived together. I'd say 4.5 were damn good. Damn good. I was in a 7. Damn good. Damn good. Right? No, like, oh, we broke up 6 times, 7 times. But at the end, might run its course. Someone might have changed their identity. They changed their job. They changed their principles. They changed their friends, whatever. But you don't go back on. This is the worst statement I always hear. Like, we were together 5 years. It was so great. I wasted my time. No, you didn't fucking waste your time. You know the amount of people that don't even have a good relationship ever? Ideally, in a relationship, you don't sacrifice your personal freedom. You just sacrifice your ability to sleep with other people. I would disagree that there's certain things and sacrifices in individual relationships. There's time constraints. There's things that you do, G-Money, and I think you'll agree when I unpack this statement, that you wouldn't normally do with your free time, that are small gestures that you're accommodating your partner. Does that make sense? Oh, for example, I'll just give you one off the cuff. Holiday parties, right? Let's say you're together, you're an item for a year, 2 years, 3 years. They're like, oh, I want to go to my auntie's Christmas party. You don't want, that same week, your buddy's having his birthday party or his bachelor party. She's like, I really want to go to my auntie's Christmas party. You got to make a decision. Now, you might say, oh, man, I do whatever the fuck I want. A lot of times, you do have to negotiate a situation like that. So is that sacrificing your personal freedom beyond sleeping with other people? Yes, because you are doing things in negotiation of the relationship to accommodate your partner. Those are a lot of big words to explain that, but you know what I mean. And you don't even realize you're doing it. And then you get out of the relationship like, oh shit. Daniel Calamare, been looking for you in the daylight with the flashlight. I hope you're well, mister. It's kind of immature to put sleeping around on such a high pedestal. No, it's just honest. Rollo talks about staying single into your 30s. He's also been married for 20 years. I think that is pretty funny. I thought that was the way he writes the book and the way he talks, and then the chapter where he's like, people always ask me, how do I keep the marriage going? And he talks about how easy it is. I think that's could be a stretch. Aussie 411. That's why I'm doing a new time, so I can get some new people on here. I want to explore my options. Good for you. Rollo's book resonate. Are you quoting women? Is that what you're doing right now? Rollo's book resonate with my gut feeling. That's why I like Rollo's book. I liked it. I found it entertaining. I found it refreshing that someone had the balls to write what he wrote. I liked the audiobook quite a bit also. And the interesting thing, if you like audiobooks, the guy that read it, I think he's some actor somewhere. It made a difference the way he used his voice and whatnot. It suited the book, and so that's why I liked it a little extra too. But it is not about age. It is about knowing what you want. Know that this person has genuine desire to be with you, not negotiated one. Agreed. What up, G Money Hall? Holla, Azam. Hope you're well, brother. Not bad. Waiting for the gym to reopen. Azam, I'm lucky to have gyms back where I am. I'm tortured still, but have a swimming pool, so that's all right. Swimming's great, man. Mac, I would agree that you make concessions in a relationship, but a man that holds frame isn't going to make concessions that he isn't comfortable with. That's really interesting. So you want to hear something funny that's personal? Is my father actually for years, the family Christmas parties that we'd go to on my mom's side, my dad he just wouldn't go. And it wasn't like he was like, oh, I hate those people. He just was like, I don't want to go. And so, and my dad didn't make a lot of concessions, and he did hold frame. People get attached to their relationships because they give away a little part of themselves every time they do something they don't want to do. Yeah. I believe that there are times to make sacrifices. There are times to be like, you know what, this is a time for you. And I think that those should be appreciated by your partner. But you shouldn't be doing something that sacrifices your soul. And for example, you get people, and a lot of times there are a lot of people from India actually, and they would agree with me on this. This isn't one of those things where you're like, oh, I'm stereotyping. It's not. The parents are quite involved in the relationship, and they tend to really worry about what the parents are going to think. But also, if there's a difference in religion, that's an issue. And are you going to sacrifice your religion? That's a pretty big deal, man. I mean, can you do it? Yeah. Is that love? That's someone's individual viewpoint, but I mean, that's a sacrifice. Hey, glad to join you, coach. No problem, Ozzy. I hope you're well, buddy. G Money is always on point. Married 10 years, single now for 5 years. Best part of being single is not having to hold space for other person's POV. You can be decisive and act when you want. So I would say that the best part of being single is when you embrace it. When you actually, because there is a period, depending on your relationship, where you might be hurting, you might be licking your wounds, you might be going through your shit. You might be bitter, you might be angry, depending on what happened. But when you get to a point where you're like, you know what, this is like you hook up with your first outside person, you have your first good time. It's like, all right, that was actually fun. That was a good time. I actually can meet someone else I'm interested in. Or you develop some kind of idea of what you want to do in the future that deep down probably want to melded with your partner. Where this is one that people overlook a lot, I think. A lot of time, a goal or an outstanding thing that you're looking at in your life, sometimes the thing that's holding you back is the idea, oh, my partner would never want to move there. Or my partner doesn't like the fact that I've always wanted to be a chef, but you have to work weekends and late nights, and my partner doesn't really like that. The amount of people that do sacrifice like that and then later on regret it, it's a lot. It's a lot. And so you also can learn from your breakup. All right, I don't want to go back to that again, right? Has anyone ever done that before where you're like, dude, I'm never dating someone that drinks regularly. I'm never dating a sloppy drunk again. I'm never dating someone whose mom is overbearing again. And if you've ever had those relationships and then you get into a new relationship and the person doesn't have that quality or has an opposite quality that's really nice, it's like, oh my goodness. It's like, I never believed how great it would be to be with someone that didn't have this quality or that quality and actually is thoughtful or kind or sweet. And the funny thing is when you start dating again, you kind of assume that the woman you go out with, oh, you don't do this or you don't do that. Oh, you're able to use chopsticks. Oh, you're able to you're like, oh shit. Like a lot of people just assume like, oh, all men or all women are like this, especially people that have only been with like one or two people. It's like a woman I went on a date with a while back. She was asking me all these questions. She's like, you're not upset about this? And I'm like, no. And she's like, if I don't finish all my food, are you going to be upset because I didn't finish my, and I'm like, no, you can take it home if you want. It's like, she's just comparing the issues and the problems that she had with a past partner, and it's bubbling up. So any kind of questions, comments that you guys want to add or you guys want to put into the live stream right now, throw them out there. Let me know if you guys are single right now. What's the best part of being single? What's the worst part of being single? And what's the part that you kind of are surprised about? And then also, what are you overlooking about your breakup? Like, what do you look back at? And I'm like, damn, you know what? One thing I look back at the breakup that really hurt me is like how much I fucking needed it. That it was the absolute answer at the time because I was being a slouch in a lot of ways. I was being a complainer and it had nothing to do with her. And we were going to probably break up eventually anyways, based on some differences in personality and values that were going in different directions. And so when it happened, it had to happen. But also, if we would have kept things going on life support, or I would have kept things going and accommodating who she was and who she was becoming, I would have been fucking miserable. So on hindsight, I'm really proud that I got the fuck out of that relationship and dealt with my shit and dealt with my pain. And then the crazy thing is you look back 10, 11, 12 years ago, whatever it is now, I'm like, and then it leads to breakup coaching, right? So, I mean, it's like, you never know where things are going to lead. Why do I fear rejection? I think a lot of people fear rejection. I think and rejection can be specific to something, right? So for example, I don't think rejection is just a broad term for every person. So I think G Money does martial arts of some sort. I've played basketball for years. I'm not Michael Jordan. I'm not great, but if I jump on a basketball court, I can dribble between my legs. I can hold my own. Someone might go, oh shit, man, I'm surprised you can play, kind of thing. I don't feel like I'm going to get rejected when I go out there and play because I have a lot of confidence in that. I don't feel, when I come up on a live stream or YouTube, I don't think like, oh, the audience is going to reject me. It's certainly a possibility. I have had people that are trolls or goons or people that test you or things like that, and it comes up. But the reason I don't fear that is because you know why? I've done it enough. Think about that for a minute. A lot of what you deal with rejection is the fact that you just haven't practiced enough or you haven't done it enough to actually realize that even if you do get rejected, who gives a fuck? I learned how much of a waste of time most relationships are. Yeah, you learn a lot. It's never a total waste, but a lot of times it's just trying to put a square peg in a round hole because rejection is personal. G Money, I look at it. If you look at it as a total waste of time, I mean, without the sweet, you can't taste the sour. Everything in life's teaching you something at some point. That might sound woo-woo or whatnot. But the reality is, I still believe this, and I think you might agree, is that the 21st century, I think you're going to have multiple relationships. I think that's the reality. And some people embrace that and deal with it really well, and other people get bitter and angry, and they get really upset about that, and they think it's wrong and it's upsetting. It's reality. Because rejection is personal. If a woman rejects you, she is rejecting your genetic material, saying you are unfit as a mate, We don't think of it like that, but it's subconscious. I never thought about it that way, but I hear you. I definitely haven't thought about it that way, but I understand how the subconscious works, and I hear what you're saying. We do understand that. That's why rejection hurts. I mean, everyone will get rejected at one point in their life. It's just a part of life. Just got to move on to the next. Their loss. I think rejection is the most difficult when you don't see it coming and you put your best foot forward. You think you look your best or you're doing your best, and then you get smacked in the mouth and you're like, wow, I didn't see that coming. I think that's when it's tough. But if you can get up off the mat, as I like to say, and you can come up from that, it won't be as hard the next time. And a woman saying you are unfit is and emasculating. That's why men tend to handle rejection romantically in a very harsh way sometimes. Emasculating is such a strong word, huh? A woman saying you are unfit. I don't know if I've ever had a feeling where a woman conveyed to me that I was unfit. That's interesting. I've only recently just became single yesterday. Well, congratulations. And my ex-girlfriend is pregnant. Well, congratulations also, I suppose. I'm still grieving over it, but she's pregnant with your kid. But putting the bigger things first. When being single, I took a life lesson with me. Jamie Gray, like I said, is it your baby? You're just not my type really just means I'd rather die than carry your children. Oh man. It doesn't mean that. That's funny though. Well, it's yours. That's the good news, Jimmy. I mean, having a kid in this world, bringing a kid in this world, that's your purpose right now. Being that it was just a day ago, I don't know the situation. Maybe you want to send your story in and I'll read it. I could do it right now. We're only 20 minutes in if you want to email it to me. Just became single yesterday. Is there a chance you guys are going to get back together? You are just not my type isn't the worst lines. You can still turn it around. Get a paternity set. All men should be. Well, G Money, I mean, it depends on how much you trust the individual, but I suppose the confidence that you have in your woman. I would. What do you think? You know, this is an interesting one, Azam. G Money kind of brings it up here. What would you think is the worst kind of rejection line? I think the most common one that stings like fuck is "I don't love you anymore," or a softer one would be like "I'm not in love with you anymore." I mean, it sounds movie like, but it comes up in stories quite a bit that people send in to me. He is right, unfortunately. For real, look into it. Tons of dudes out here raising kids that aren't theirs. Well, first and foremost, I'd act if he feels like that's even a possibility that it's not his. As a woman, I've broken it off with guys who weren't a good fit for me. Didn't mean that they were lesser men. Lala, since you're the only female on right now that's reporting, cheating is the worst rejection. Yeah, I got it. I think I'm falling out of love with you, and it killed me. That's it's just such a common one, which I think translates to I'm not attracted to you anymore. Don't you agree? If someone says I love you, but I'm not in love with you, to me that means I trust you and I'm still connected to you and I have feelings for you, but I'm not attracted to you. That's the translation to me. You know the other one? The other one is you can do better than me. I think if I look back on that breakup I talk about a lot, in one of our talks, I believe she said that to me. And looking back, I'm like, that just means you think you can do better than me. They were friends for 6 years before dating. My friend just had a breakup where she said that her feelings for him have changed and aren't the same, which means I no longer am in love with you. They were friends for 6 years before dating. Well, if they were friends for 6 years before dating, they probably didn't have the attraction level to take it to the next level. I think G Money said it before that on the first date, he always tries to hook up, which which is cool, but I don't necessarily share that as a prerequisite for being super attracted to someone. That being said, if you're friends for 6 years and no one makes a move, there's some kind of attraction issue there, most likely. Um, exactly. 90% of breakups are really just, I'm attracted to you anymore. It's just packaged nicely. It kind of is. I would say, here's the interesting thing in doing what I'm doing and talking to a lot of people. People hang on to bad relationships, bad situations way longer if they're still attracted or there's intimacy. That's interesting as fuck. You talk to someone, they're complaining, they're going on and on, they're going on and on. And I go, wait a minute. Especially with guys, I'm like, wait a minute. So let me ask you, how's the intimacy? Fucking outstanding. That's what's keeping you guys together. Now, the thing that makes people angry and bitter is like a lack of trust, cheating, or one of these things, or emotional cheating, or I don't believe them anymore, or they told me they got a job. Those things linger, right? And then you make up over the intimacy. Connection is one of those things where people go, all of a sudden they woke up one day and they're like, yeah, they're my best friend, and we just agree to like not hang out as much, not agree. But if you still have trust and you still have some kind of regular intimacy, if the connection's waning, people kind of just let it go. And so I think that the importance of those things are different for different people. But in my work, I find that people will hang on to a toxic or bad relationship longer if the intimacy is good. It's almost like you're getting a sugar rush or you're getting a really good treat for dealing with shit. I always say that when I am breaking up, I'm not attracting you. It's just a package nicely. I tell them they're a great person. I enjoy the time we have together, and any person would be lucky to be with them. Well, that's kind of you. Sometimes you hang out of guilt or out of hate to hurt them. Exactly. There's a reason women stay with abusive men as long as that man gives them tingles down there. You see it all the time, even in the stream. Or the fear of not being able to find someone else, one-itis. Yeah, that's a big one, David. That's what I love about that first chapter of The Rational Male. It's absolutely true. I think it's a Hollywood story that there's a soulmate or one-itis. Like I said, if you got soulmate, then just say that there's multiple soulmates. That would be more believable. Best way to handle rejection? Embrace it. Laugh about it. You know, the friends of mine that have been rejected, they laugh about it. The ones that are good about it, don't take it personal. The more rejection you get, like anything else, you'll gain a rejection muscle to where you're like, I don't give a shit. Gina Tingles is the religion. I don't understand that. I don't understand Gina Tingles is the religion, LOL. So this is an inside thing. Tell me about it. As Beyonce says, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Beyonce says that, or all humans say it? Got it, Azam. Yeah, it was funny. This was a while back. I don't know if G Money was on, but guys always assume. Okay, so when I say a statement like that, right, where I'm saying a guy will stay in a relationship that's toxic or he doesn't trust a woman because the intimacy is quite good. But the reality is, the funny thing is that the same thing. A woman was on and she was like, yeah, women do the same thing. And guys don't want to agree with that. But there was someone talking about, oh, my ex is with an ex-convict and he's got 2 kids out of wedlock and he's always in trouble and da-di-da-di-da and this and that, and this and that. And like the guy's just going on and on. And this woman just chimes in. I'm like, well, you know, she could be attracted to him because he's dangerous. He's this. And the woman said, the power of the D. The woman stepped in and I go, you probably didn't want to hear that. But the reality is, yeah, maybe the intimacy is quite good for the woman. Your ego is your best defense against rejection. Your value should be internal, not dependent on how others view you. And the way you get your ego and your confidence up, dude, is you're good at a few things. Daniel, you know, like let's look at Michael Jordan, right? Obviously, Michael Jordan's 6'6". He's this great athlete. He's all this. I mean, if you look at it, he wasn't very, he was good at working hard. He was a great athlete and everything, but he wasn't good at everything in his life. He certainly wasn't a good golfer, from what I hear. The idea of being really good at a few different things will add to your confidence more than trying to be good at everything. Does that make sense? True that, but it takes a lot of training. I really recommend Chateau Hartis to read Max. It will give you an interesting take on female attraction. Okay. Zom, I have good news today. You've been telling me it's not a big deal to you, but I'm gonna get the Instagram cooking. So I got an Instagram, what would you call it? Manager or something like that. She's a good friend of mine, and she's doing it for someone else, a tattoo shop. And so I said, you know what? I'll pay you for this month. She said, send me these pictures, send me this. So I'm going to be posting some stuff about Thailand. Um, I'm going to be posting some videos, like lifestyle stuff. But you guys are going to like the fact that you guys always ask me to share stuff about Thailand. And it's a beautiful place where I live. And it's kind of funny because you see all these ads and these commercials like, look where I am right now. Uh, you know, I do live by a fucking sick ass beach. And so I think I just, you know what it is? When I first moved here, 10, 11 years ago, Instagram's kind of overtaken Facebook, I think, especially in the States, right? And I would post things on Facebook. I've never been a social media, like all the time. And then you just get people that like, oh yeah, where like they'll ask questions or this or that, and it just gets old. And you're like, yeah, I just live here. It's no big deal. But I had a coaching client. She lives in like Ontario, Canada, or something like that, somewhere really cold. And I just started doing these emotional freedom techniques with hypnotherapy. Uh, they're not videos. It's almost like a mantra about letting go, and then I do a hypnotic step. Basically, I hypnotize you, and good feedback on it. But I asked people, where do you want to go in the world? And so she's like, I want to go to a beach. I want to go to this place. I'm like, all right. So I just sent some casual photos of where I live and the beach nearby. And she's like, oh my God. And it's like, I looked at it, I'm like, yeah, I think like the last 2 or 3 years, I just kind of stopped taking photos overall. But now when I go on my hikes, those hikes that I showed you guys, or if you've seen a couple of videos, I go on those daily now. So, and you see something new all the time. So I will definitely, Thai food is not, the funny thing, it's not even a big deal, Thai food to me. But my friend today, which will help me out a lot, she was like, look, let's do video. Like she has a plan, she has a schedule, and then we'll do one video a week. That's a video maybe around Thailand or around here. And I think you guys will get a kick out of that. I was holding back on that for a while, and I was, all right, I'll do this, I'll do that. And I'm just going to make it about the breakups. But I think people, now that we're doing the live streams, are interested in this. Hey, coach, I have a female friend in Chayapum. I'm visiting them back to Cambodia. You live in Cambodia? Chayapum, I know. I haven't been there, but yeah, I heard it's a nice place. It's kind of funny because people will be like all these different places. I know people, this, that, and the other, but I primarily have lived in the main places, Chiang Mai and Phuket, and I like Phuket. I like the beach. So Azam, I have heard Rolo reference him. Never read his stuff. I just read Sex God Method the other day. I wish Joe Rogan would have you on a show. I'd love that, man. That's on my list, right? That's on my list once the book's done. I got sidetracked on the book. I'll be fucking honest with you guys. I was going good. I was getting stuff done. And then I said, shit. Got my hikes in, got my live streams in. I'll do the book later. So I side shelved it, but I'm back on deck. Dan, it's good to have you back on. How you doing, Clarabelle? Well, I hope. New York's finest. I actually enjoy his writings more than Rollo. It's written in simpler language. Okay. I just read an article for him yesterday. Okay. Clarabelle, how are things going with the ex? I think last time you came on the live stream, you mentioned that he reached out, you guys chatted. Is that dust? Did that dissipate? Are you on a gray area? Yeah, Rolo can get pretty academic, but I like that. It doesn't feel like bro science. Oh no, I appreciate Rolo's style, especially the way he writes. No, he's got a good mix. I've never heard bro science before though. Um, let me take a pop into. We got 13 on deck. Thanks for the likes. I appreciate. We're open to questions here. We're still reconciling. Okay, cool. Is that progress then? Is that a good thing? I mean, how long do you reconcile for? And just to get a woman's perspective, what does it mean to reconcile? What are you looking? You guys broke up. What are you looking for, hon? Are you looking to get back together? Are you looking to make them work for it? Like I hear this term a lot. I want them to fight for it. Is that what are you looking for? No vacation. Okay, you're in Florida, right, Oz? You have a pretty good memory. You're ex-military, and wow, those are. When do you think you can get back to these places? When the flights are opening up? I haven't really. I don't follow the news. I stay off the news a lot, so especially. Okay, I've been to Vientiane. I haven't been to Cambodia. People might be surprised because that's like a neighboring. Almost a year in September since he came back. Okay, so you're dating. When you say reconciling, are you dating? Are you guys getting intimacy? What are you guys doing? Here's the thing about someone that gets a master's degree or a PhD, and I've worked with a lot of them, and I'm a teacher. They want to sport the motherfucker. Okay? They paid for it. They did their dues. They are gonna. If they could wear a name tag that said fucking PhD or master's degree, they would. PhD, PhD is much more like a. It was funny. This friend of a friend, we were all out hiking, and this guy just like, well, I'm a doctor, but I don't go by a doctor. And it's like, what do you mean? Well, I'm a PhD. It's like it didn't even come up in conversation. It's just it's just how it is. And so if you put up that much work in academia, you do and the thing is you can't just, how should I say this? When you're a doctor in a hospital, you're a doctor. When you're a teacher, you're a teacher. But when you get a master's or you get a PhD in academia, people don't know it. But the people that did the grit grind of getting that thing, they do want to be recognized for it. They're going to put it on their business card. The funny thing is, especially a master's, correct me if I'm wrong, I think 70 to 80% of the population could give a shit. And if it served you and it makes you smarter or makes you look at the world in a better way, fine. But people don't generally go, oh my God, you have a master's? Yeah, absolutely. You can post a link. I don't take it as disrespect or anything like that. My buddy just got dumped at second time by the same chick. I knew it was inevitable when they first. You know what's so bad, G Money, is when your friend. I think we've talked about this. I think you might have asked me something before. You're a friend, and don't kill the fucking messenger. You're a friend, and you're like, damn, dude, I can see the writing on the wall. But if you say anything, you're gonna get in trouble probably, or you're gonna get ridiculed because they don't want to hear it from you. But a lot of times, an unbiased, objective individual that has some kind of relationship smarts can see the writing on the wall. And if she's not going to dump him, he's going to get fed up. You hope at some point, because a lot of times you can see the hints. What was the circumstances, G Money? Just out of curiosity. I'm hoping by December in Thailand will open. I will spend Christmas and New Year's in Thailand. It's New Year's is nice, man, on the beach. I mean, it's beautiful. It's the most popular time, I think, to be in Phuket. Yeah, if you dumped him, he is likely to back up. You just can't force feed people the truth. You can just plant seeds in their mind. It's so true. I mean, unless they're asking for your help, and it's funny in my position with friends and stuff, I'll listen. I won't say anything anymore. And they'll be like, "Oh, I don't want you to be a coach. I don't want you to do this." And here's the crazy thing, G Money. I don't know if you knew this because you haven't been on the live stream for a little bit. You got a new girlfriend. I think that's why. But I've had a couple friends, about 3 friends reach out in the last 3 months. One that's a really good friend, one's like, like we're distant friends, and one I haven't talked to in years from my college days. And all 3 of them were reaching out for break. And I said, "Look, I'll listen. I'll help you out." And 2 of them, the more distant ones, I'm like, "You're gonna have to pay me." Because for me to put my coaching cap on and get serious about this, and you not to feel guilty, and it's not a serious thing, and me to really unpack this, and they're like, "All right, I understand." The one that's like one of my best friends from high school, I'm not gonna charge him. He'd be fucking offended. We've known each other since we were fucking 14. And the funny thing about him though was that for him to reach out to me, it was hard for him because, of course, he jokes with me like, "Oh, you're doing what you do." You know what I mean? And but he was respectful. He's like, "Damn, that helps me," in looking at it that way. It was so fun. His story, my buddy's story. If I could have printed it, oh my god, I'm gonna share it in a moment. Actually, I might have said it on the live stream already. Azam knows because you're on almost all the live streams. But all right, so I won't get into the nitty gritty or the background of my buddy's in and outs of his story. And Zom, tell me if I said this already because you would know, like I said. But my buddy goes out and he's been with his wife. Well, they're not married, but they were married. They had it annulled, and then they got back together. And now they have 2 kids. Both of them have a kid with another partner in the past, right? So they got 2 kids that are under 4 years old. So I thought they were doing really well. Both of them, seem to be doing really well. That being said, they've always been kind of a couple that tend to fight a little bit and get into some things. And she's extremely jealous, always has been. So he went out with his buddies, which he doesn't do very often now. He went out for some drinks, came back home. He said he was home like 10:30, 11, right? This is what happens when you're like in your early 40s, late 30s, guys. It's like you start to be like, "I'm not going out till 2. That's nuts." So comes home and he's like, they were getting intimate. And she had given him shit. She was pissed he went out, something else like that, right? They're getting intimate. And he had groomed himself downstairs. Okay, I'm not going to get into details. He gave himself a little trim. And she was like, "What? Did you trim yourself?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Before you went out?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "You said you were going out with your guy friends. Why would you trim yourself downstairs?" And he's like, "What the fuck?" And they were just in the middle of like being intimate, obviously. She's like touching him and shit. And he's like, "What the fuck?" So she stopped, gave him shit. He's rock, right? She gets upset, like kicks him out of bed, makes a big deal out of him. He's like, "What the fuck?" He hits her. He said he gets up and hits her with the pillow. And he was like, my buddy's a big guy. Like, he's a strong guy. He's a forceful guy. He used to play linebacker in high school. And he was like, "Yeah, it was kind of hard." He's like, "I didn't mean to, like, I wasn't trying to hurt her, but I kind of hit her hard with it." And he said she just gets up and throws like haymakers and he was like, kind of like, "Okay, like, yeah, like, in other words, I wasn't trying to hurt her. I hit her with a pillow, but I hit her fucking hard." It's like, what do you do with that, right? She ends up the next day, she kicks him out, throws him out of the house. All this shit, all this drama. He's like, "All right, I'll go to my dad's house." He goes to stay at his dad's house. And 2 days later, she cleans out their mutual account. And I was like, "Yeah, I wanted to make sure that, I got that money." I was like, damn. damn. And so he was like, what? I'm like, dude, go see 3 lawyers. Get yourself prepared. Right. The end of the story, a week later, which didn't surprise me at all because I've known them for years and I've known their relationship. They ended up getting back together. That being said, I was like, dude, that kind of behavior though is cheap. And like I said, there's gonna be G Money. There's gonna be a chapter, and I'm gonna call it. She did, cleaned it. They had a savings account, and she just cleaned it. With he like went to it. He's like, what? And she was like, yeah. I just want to make sure. And then on the FaceTime that they were talking, she was like, yeah, and I want child support started soon. He was like, what? We got in a fight, a pillow fight. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, go see 3 lawyers, go see the best ones in town too. I don't know if you guys have ever heard this before, but I don't know if it's everywhere, but a friend of mine that lives in California said, if you see a lawyer, your partner can't see the same lawyer even if you just interview them. But a lot of people do this thing where they're like, oh, I don't want to get divorced. I don't want to get lawyers involved. I'm like, if you're going to get a divorce and there's any kind of assets involved, you better get in a position where you're on offense. Because you will get your fucking lunch taken. Scotty Fitzgerald, it's always a pleasure. I'm never getting a joint bank account. Here's what he hit her with the pillow. Then what happened again? He hit her with the pillow, and then she lost it. And like when I say haymakers, I mean like maybe you don't use that term. Or she threw punches at him, got like pissed, and he didn't hit her back. He was like, dude, I shouldn't hit her with the pillow. I was just frustrated. But he said I probably hit her too hard. Then he slept on the couch, whatever. He was pissed. The next day, he left as she'd asked him to leave. And the worst part, they're staying at an in-law's house. So that's the other part of it. That's a triangle. It's her in-law's house, or her family's house, so she can just get the fuck out anytime. And I was like, you need to get your own place, bro, because that's emasculating to a point. You're trying to save money and everything, but they've been doing it for like 3 years. This is what I call it. I call it kneecap theory. I'm coming up with a few theory terms, and I'm like, there's individuals, and you've probably met them before. G Money, Azam, Lala, Scotty Fitzgerald. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking, by the way. Where have you ever witnessed this? Like I was a type of person when I was in school, when I was in high school and stuff, that I like to clown around and joke, and I'm fucking good at teasing, right? But I wouldn't go for your kneecaps. I wouldn't like make fun of someone's mom or, like stuff like that. But have you ever noticed there's some friends or there's some women or men, when they break up, you're like, damn, you went there? Like, to me, when someone cleans out an account in a day, it's not even like, oh, we're thinking about getting a divorce or this or that. In a day, clean, not even took half, that's kneecaps. That's why men get their clocks cleaned during divorce, because they naively think that their ex-wife still cares about them and won't try to destroy them by taking everything. When you get a divorce or breakup, the person you thought you knew is gone. Well, if you've ever witnessed anyone during inheritance, when someone passes away and someone has some sort of worth, everyone that is just a tiny bit selfish gets really deserving. I've witnessed that a few fucking times. Oh, like, oh, grandma always wanted me to have this, or, I haven't worked in 10 years, so I should get the house. Yeah, so you should get the house because you've been a fucking degenerate. It's not just, they get deserving, and their interpretation is, because I'm a loser, I deserve more. And it's like the winner goes, no, not really, because you're going to lose it anyways. Oh yeah, once you're broken up, they're like no longer the person you were with. Did you guys hear the Johnny Depp Amber situation? No, I'm not familiar with it. Sadly, you get a lot of leeches around when someone dies. Oh my goodness. And then the crazy thing is, if someone gets what they want or they snake the will, the crazy thing is, I've had this happen in my extended family before. It's like, hey, did you want to hang out for Christmas? We wanted to reconnect. It's been a while. Oh, now that you got, grandma's house and everything secured, you want to be a family again? Uh, Situations show people's true colors. That's a fucking understatement. My buddy is going through a divorce. He's on the lease with the ex still. They have a kid together. She's a total. What's a POS? I'm sorry, hon. I don't know all these terms, and has stopped paying rent and quit her job. Is she doing that because, like, what are the circumstances, Lala? Oh, piece of shit. I'm sorry. You know what it is too is that when I'm reading, especially from a live stream or reading through a story, I don't look for these terms, right? Thanks for 3 people told me piece of shit immediately. Thanks. I guess I'm the only one that doesn't know what a POS is. Now I know, and knowing's half the battle, as the great G.I. Joe said. That's funny. Here's what's interesting, okay? I've dealt with this before from the sidelines, depending on like how close you are, right? So, for example, when I was just talking about my good friend, I've known this is a very close friend of mine. We're distant now because I live in another fucking continent, not another fucking country, a continent, right? I live a 17-hour flight away. I don't see him often, but I know the trials and tribulations of that relationship from the jump off. So I you know what I mean? I know him as an individual. It's a different background. It's a different dynamic. And it's harder for me to be objective and non-biased, to be quite honest. When I was talking to him, I was like, damn, it's much different than when I talk to someone just blindly. I wasn't surprised by what he told me she did. I'll just tell you that. I wasn't shocked at all. She was a nurse who made a lot of money. She cheated on me. He found out with pics. He found out with pics on iCloud. She stayed in the apartment and refused to let him see the kid. Wow. What I want to say though, depending on, as I fucking stutter, depending on the situation, sometimes from the outside in, especially like your close friend's wife, or you're kind of like, you're not that close to them, they're like, oh, that's fucked up. You don't know what really happened. I'm not saying that about you, Lala, but a lot of times people make judgments on relationships like, oh, poor Sandra or poor Kim. And it's like, yeah, you don't know what Kim and Sandra were doing behind closed door. I think now though, with video and pics and stuff like that, there's more evidence than ever before. I mean, one of the greatest ones I've ever witnessed was the guy. He put a recording device. I think it might have been a phone, in a purse. This was like 4 or 5 years, no, 2 or 3 years ago, I think. Right when I started breakup coaching, 2 or 3 years, yeah. And he put it in there. He obviously had a feeling, and his wife went on lunch with her boss, and basically was having a sex talk with the boss and talking shit about him. In the meantime, he had it on tape, and that was curtains. I agree. You never know what goes on, but you just don't know. I'm not saying that about you, Lala. I've had a recent situation in my life where I was just like, damn, you don't even know the whole story. And people jump to conclusions based on what they want to believe, the narrative they want to believe, the generalizations. It's like, you don't know the ins and outs. You don't know when there was a friend of mine a while back. He broke up with his ex, and from the outside in, it's like, wow, so-and-so is such a good girlfriend, and so-and-so's always been there for him, and he got to keep the house, and she has a shitty job, this, that, and the other. The reality, when you talk to your friend, you're like, damn, dude, she got really lazy. She stopped working out. Fucking, she was bitter all the time. Her favorite thing to do was watch Netflix. Like, he's like, for 2 years, like, I wasn't miserable, but I wasn't happy. And then he goes, what everyone doesn't realize, even though I kept the house because it was my family's house, I still was giving her $700-800 a month so she could pay her rent. But I didn't tell anyone that. But everyone from the outside is like, oh, I fucked her over. It's like, I didn't have to do that. I just did that. So everyone goes from the outside, from the sidelines, from the cheap seats. Oh, yeah, this is really messy. You don't fucking know. You don't know. And if you hear one side of the story, you still don't know all the time. And the reality is, if you're not in the relationship, you really don't know. And I would add to that, people deal with and accept things on a different level. They really do. It's like the amount of times where I'm like, damn, I would never accept that. Okay, up to you. Lala, that sounds really fucked up. I'm just curious, did it come out of nowhere? Is it completely shocking, or is this woman a promiscuous woman? Like, did he do something wrong? You know what I mean? That's what, this is just this is like a fragment of the story, you know what I'm saying? So, all right, we got 9 on deck. We went an hour today. This was really good. Just to check in, get you guys another time frame, get a pulse on things. From his point of view. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I don't know if they're always hot. I don't know if they're always hot, but they have. I've actually had quite a few nurses that are clients. There was actually one lady that was basically having an affair like for 2 or 3 years with a doctor. Surprisingly, I think people don't realize. Roller girl, nice to visit with you too. If that's for me, um, just how many people cheat with coworkers and colleagues. I mean, it's just. Oh, that's not fair. That's not right. I think the access and the constant back and forth and interaction. Sometimes you're having more interaction and FaceTime with with the people you work with than your actual partner. And the reality is, when you come home from work and you're tired and shit, you probably aren't in the mode to be in a good mood. We're at the 57-minute mark. Does anyone have any questions about their relationship, their breakup? It's open. We got 10 on deck. We got 5 likes. And I know this is going to change soon. I got to get them go to work later. Lala, it's been a pleasure. I hope you're well and have an outstanding day at work. Is everyone back on the grind here? Are we back to normal without the COVID here? Is it mask off? Best part of being single. Let's think about this for a minute. Let's make one statement. The best part of being single, freedom. The best part of being single. I don't have to call and ask what's for dinner. I don't know if that's an issue for some people. What are you overlooking about your breakup? The idea that you can meet someone better. Mask on, Roller Girl says. In Vegas? We're still wearing our mask here, but it's not as that. I think the paranoid levels drop. Best part of being single, no one could cheat on you with their boss. That would be playing not to lose rather than to be on offense. COVID still going on in the UK. Scotty Fitzgerald, didn't you have a relative or a family member that might have it? I hope they're okay. I mean, I know COVID's still going strong. We're still going on everywhere, but don't you feel like it's leveled out as far as the initial paranoia? Or am I gonna do my workout and get ready for work, Mac? Until next time. Well, it's always a pleasure, DJ. Keep spinning plates, do your thing, and I'm happy for you with your new job. No family member that has it. Okay, good. Someone else from the UK told me that. Maybe that was Todd. We're not gonna go there today, G Money. Yeah, evidently that's true, right? What a mess. Oh man. Paranoia has gone down, think because less media hype. I was having a good time with this really pretty girl. We would party a lot with our mutual friends, but she then became distant and I was extremely attracted to her, so I back away. I was having a good time with this really pretty girl. We would party a lot with our mutual friends. Okay, so that right there is the problem. Partying a lot with your mutual friends, you need to get in a position where you're like, hey, let's go hang out, just me and you. Okay, so uh, hanging out with mutual friends creates a dynamic, especially you, Daniel, that is younger. Um, it just creates obstacles within hooking up that aren't there if you fucking hang out on your own. So the idea that we would party a lot with our mutual friends, that's not ideal. But she became distant, and I was extremely attracted to her back way. If you were extremely attracted to her, you should have found a way to be like, hey, let's go to the museum exhibit on Sunday. Let's go to the beach. Let's go do something. You got to step up and ask her out outside of the friends, because being around friends, people are guarded. Uh, there's other people competing for their attention, whether that's men and women. If she was highly attractive, she's probably getting attention. You need to convey to her, I want to go out with you. She told me she only saw me as a friend, but here we are, and now she's in a relationship. Well, she could fuck, man. If she's in a relationship, so I'm confused. I haven't talked to her in months, but it's pretty crazy how things are. We are good and greet each other when we see each other. Why would it be crazy? She told me she only saw me as a friend, but here we are now. She's in a relationship. Why would that be confusing? I don't get it. Because you took it as her wanting to be as a friend, that she wasn't interested in a relationship. That doesn't. Is that what you're saying? Someone says they only see you as a friend. You say, okay. There's so much power in that, bro. There's so much power in just going, okay. If you like, it's like, what's the power and what's the silver lining in her saying that to you? Okay, now I know. I believe you can be friends with someone, but you have to have a mutual. You can be friends with a woman. For me, uh, but you have to connect through work. So let's look at this, right? Trust, connection, attraction. You can be friends with a woman you're not highly attracted to or sexually attracted to. Why not? But if you're attracted to her, don't fucking act like you're her friend. With girls, you're either her boyfriend or girlfriend. I said it was okay with us being friends and just walked away. Perfect. I didn't pursue and didn't chase it at all. Good. And if it doesn't work out, you're moving. If she just gained respect for you, can you be friends with someone you're attracted to? Yes, you can. You just have to make sure, is it a covert way of you getting closer to them? You can be friends with them, but eventually you're probably going to make a move. And if you don't make a move, you're probably going to hate yourself for not making a move. So you're conflicting yourself. So that's what I would say to that. However, men tend to befriend women they already find attractive. If you are not tapping it, you are her girlfriend. Exactly, Azam. I would say that in certain circumstances, especially with work, no, it's not always true, right? But if you are lusting or going after that woman and you're really attracted to her and you're like, oh no, we're just friends, but like she's so hot, then no, you're fooling yourself. If you're not really attracted to her, and let me add this part, Azam and G Money, let me add this part. You're spinning multiple other plates. You're spinning multiple other plates, and this woman's just a friend. Doesn't it seem more likely that you're like, all right, this one I'm just not that attracted to, but we're cool. I'm not talking about hanging out every day. My advice is not to shit where you eat no matter what. Oh yeah. Being friends with an attractive woman just serves to provide her with attention and validation for little to no return on your end. Yeah, but here's the thing. Like I said, if you're spinning enough plates, it's going to eat her up too. Always reject friendship or friend zone her before you. Yeah, I mean, you got to know what you want and be true to yourself, right? That's the thing. You got to know what you want and be true to yourself. That's what I would say. And if you're attracted to a woman and you like her in that way and you're playing that game like that, that's weak. All right, folks. I think that's going to be the closing comments. G Money, it's always good to connect, bud. I'm glad that you came on. I'm glad you're doing well. Daniel, been looking for you for a while. I hope you're well, Mr. Montero. Quick question. My buddy who just got dumped, he sits right next to his girl at work. Talk about shitting in your yeah, that sucks. That would suck. That's fucking awkward with the capital A. The reason I think it's crazy that she has a boyfriend is because she communicated with me. The reason she saw me as a friend was because she didn't want a relationship and that she is just doing her. Well, dude, listen, this is good that you asked that, Daniel. She was saying that to be nice to you. Or she changed her mind, which human beings, especially ones in their early 20s, can do. So do not take it personal. She could have said like, oh, that some people just they don't want to just say like, oh, I just want to be your friend. They need to give you a reason, which is what I would call a white lie or a harmless lie. And so if you're like, oh, why did she say this then? It might have been, or she changed her mind, right? Don't take it personal. Keep it moving. You know how many other attractive single women there are out there that you could be moving on. So go for it. This wasn't this, and you know what? I give her credit. She didn't catcall you. She didn't play games with you. And you know what? You stepped up to the plate. You made a move. You swung. You missed. I would rather swing and miss than get called out with pain on the corner. You know what I mean? I'd rather get. You ever played baseball? The worst thing to do is to get fucking struck out by not even swinging. You took a swing, right? Good for you. Thanks, Mac. Love your encouragement and really appreciate it. No worries. That's what I'm here for. All right, folks, take it easy. Have a good day. Curtains.